in the last stream, we were working on still trying to complete the very last quest in the extended crafting questline, and that is to make our very first ultimate singularity, of course, with the end goal being that we have a system in place that allows us to make enough ultimate singularities to hopefully complete all of the quests in the Chapter 14 Chapter Challenge questline. Now, what we did in the last stream is we set up this monstrosity of a Supremium farm over here with a ton of planters and harvesters all working simultaneously to plant and gather all of the different mystical agriculture seeds that we need in order to get all of the essences that we're going to need to craft all of the resources to make all of the ultimate singularities. Now, as you can see by the number of items that we have in our refined storage system here, this has been working quite well between streams. We've got 321,000 diamond essence, which is fantastic. However, if you remember from the previous streams, we need over 1 million diamond essence if we're going to get all of the ultimate singularities, and this system here has been running for quite a few days since we left off in the last stream, and so even at our current speed, it's probably going to take at least a week with this system running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get all of the resources required for the ultimate singularities. And so instead of just waiting for this to happen, I think what we should work on in today's stream is a system that was recommended by the developer of this pack that can produce and process blank ore. So blank ore is pretty easy to make. You make it in a combiner from Mechanism with stone and for dust. Dust you get by crafting down the dust block from Ex Nihilo, and the dust block we can make using an igneous extruder. In fact, I'm fairly certain that we do have one igneous extruder down here that is already producing dust, this one right here. And so the plan for today is to essentially duplicate this setup that is making dust. I think we have a dust block underneath the igneous extruder. Yeah, so it's lava on one side, water on the other, igneous extruder in the middle with a dust block underneath. We can then make this faster by adding in the integral components on the right-hand side here, and of course we can make the overall production of dust faster by setting up just a ton of igneous extruders, all with the express purpose of producing dust. We can then craft that dust. We are also going to want to set up a bunch of igneous extruders making stone. Again, I'm pretty sure we do have one stone igneous extruder somewhere. It's this one right here. The reason, of course, for that stone is that, again, if we're going to make the blank ore, we need both dust and stone. So it's one dust block and one stone block per blank ore. And then with the blank ore, all we have to do is place it down and break it. And every time you break blank ore, you get a random ore, which we can then process. So that might seem a bit long, slow, and convoluted, but once we get the system in place, I actually think that we should be able to produce blank ore, place blank ore, and break blank ore many, many times per second, to the point where we're making just a crazy number of ores that we should then be able to hopefully process at a very fast speed with a bunch of machines from Mechanism to produce, hopefully, a ton of resources in a very small period of time. So essentially, the plan here is to first check if we've got a combiner. I thought we might have one. We do, it's right here. Okay, beautiful. We should take this and we should upgrade it to the highest tier possible. It's also quite possible that we might look at making multiple combiners. It really depends on just how much blank ore we want to make. For now though, if we go ahead and grab one of each tier installer, we do already have a basic tier and an ultimate tier, so we'll just request the elites and the advanced. Once we have all of those, we should be able to hopefully fairly easily upgrade this to the highest tier possible. Like so. Now that we have this, essentially, as we showed before, what we should be able to do is take stone, we can take dust, we can craft that dust down into dust, and then we can place the stone in the yellow slot, the dust in the red slots, and if we turn auto sort on, that's going to slowly but surely produce blank ore. Now, of course, right now, there are no speed or energy upgrades in this system, which is definitely something we're going to want to rectify. Boom, and boom. This should now be going a lot faster, and the plan now is to take all of that blank ore, and the idea here is that now we need to be able to place it down and break it, and up until recently, that was kind of the main thing holding me back from setting up this system, because I wasn't exactly sure how we were going to go about doing that, but as it turns out, Refined Storage has an answer for us. If we go to @ Refined Storage here, we can actually make these guys, the Constructor and the destructor. The constructor will allow us to place the blank ore, and the destructor, as the name would suggest, will break the blank ore. So both of these are not too difficult to make. I'm fairly certain if we control-click there, we should be able to request that our system make all of the required parts. The same is true for the constructor as well. We might actually want to teach our system how to make these, because I think it's quite plausible that throughout the course of today's stream, we are going to want to have quite a few of each of these. So basically, once we have both of these, what we should be able to do is temporarily, we'll move this setup in the future. For now, this is just to kind of show how it works, but essentially we will have blank ore being placed down, and we'll put down a constructor, let's say there, and a destructor, let's say here. So the destructor is going to break the blank ore. With the constructor, if we put blank ore in it, like so, it will then take any blank ore that we have in the system, which apparently is 31, and it will place that down, and then the destructor will break it. That's all well and good, but as it turns out, much like with all of the items from refined storage, you can make this faster using speed upgrades. And in fact, you can make it a lot faster using speed upgrades. So let's say we put 4 speed upgrades in the constructor, not in there. And let's also put 4 speed upgrades in the destructor, like so. Now, we currently have 52 blank ore in the system. If we go ahead and put the blank ore in, like so, this is suddenly able to work through that blank ore significantly faster than it could previously. And if we type in ore into the system, you'll see now that we have like a little bit of iron ore, a little bit of fluorite ore, nickel ore, lapis ore, gold ore. We've got all these little bits of ore that we've just got from our blank ore. So essentially, the plan here is to set up multiple of these, so multiple sets of constructors and destructors, all breaking and placing blank ore rapidly, and then having maybe multiple combiners producing blank ore using stone and dust that is being produced by multiple igneous extruders producing that stone and that dust. And then after that, we're going to want to set up a ton of smelters, or smelting factories, I should say, and enriching factories. The smelting factory is for ores like iron ore, copper ore, tin ore, anything that produces an ingot, we can send to the smelting factory, and then anything that produces a gem, lapis ore, redstone ore, diamond ore, etc., can go to the enriching factory. And if we upgrade both of those, and maybe again have multiple of those all at maximum speed, all processing all of the ores all of the time, we should hopefully be able to produce a massive amount of resources extremely quickly. So I think, essentially, chat, what we're going to do to start things off here is we're going to look at getting a new maximum size compact machine, which I think I'm going to go ahead and put into this wall right here. We do still have this one spare slot, and now we have this mirrored here. And in here, I want to put a bunch of igneous extruders. Now, right now, I don't think that our system knows how to make them. And I think given the number of these that we're going to need, it's going to be in our best interest here to teach our system how to make them. And essentially, all I'm thinking is that right up against the wall here, we can have water along like so, with igneous extruders along here. I guess we are going to have these up by one, because we do have to place dust underneath the igneous extruders making dust, and we also have to have, I believe it's magma blocks underneath the blocks making stone. So let's also go ahead and request like a stack of magma creams here. Again, we've got more than enough blaze powder and slime, so that shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. And we'll do the same thing over here. Once we have all of those magma creams, let's quickly craft up some magma blocks, and then let's do something like this. Okay, so now we've got all of the igneous extruders down. On the right, we have the magma blocks underneath, and on the left, we have the dust underneath. All we need to do now is place water on the far side on both of these. So we can place water here, and then we should be able to use that infinite source to basically fill up the rest of these. We can then do the exact same thing on the other side. And then once all of the water is in, I think then what we'll do is we'll drop down some stone slabs, like so, and then we're going to fill in this side here with lava, and of course we're going to do the exact same thing over on this side as well. Thankfully, a little while back, we did set up a little bit of a lava buffer, and so if we head back over into our main base, over here we do have lava ready to go, and it should be just as easy as us picking up this pre-existing lava tank, which we can replace once we're done with it, and then I believe it's N? Yes, to turn on bucket mode. Once in bucket mode, we should, fairly easily, be able to just place down all of the lava, like so. So now that we have this all set up, essentially now all we need to do is begin extracting all of the stone and all of the dust from these igneous extruders. And I did go ahead and request a bunch of integral components. I requested 26, so we've still got 10 more to come here. Putting these in is going to hopefully fairly drastically increase the amount of dust and stone produced. Of course, right now, it's not going to do anything until we start extracting, but hopefully, once we are extracting, it should allow us to produce significantly more dust and stone. So now that all of these are fully upgraded, we need to begin extracting. And I think there are a few ways we could do this. We could, if we wanted to, put importers with like stack and speed upgrades onto all of these. That would work. Although I think the cheaper option might be to go with the pipes from Mechanism. And essentially what I'm thinking I might do here is I'm thinking I might set up a new storage drawer in here for each of these resources. These pipes are made in sets of 8, so we did get one extra here, but that is fine. Chat has also pointed out that if we send our dust, which we're producing on the left here, to a compacting drawer, that will actually automatically allow us to turn the dust into dust, aka the blocks of dust, into actual dust. So if we do something like this, and we have a drawer there, let's also grab another drawer for the other side, like so. And I think we'll put a controller in the middle, just to save us on resources. Then the idea is that if we do something like this, and if we grab our configurator, we can begin setting all of these here. Oops. We can begin setting all of these here, so long as we're not in wrench mode, to extract. And you'll see that very quickly, all of the dust being produced here is zipped around over into this compacting drawer, and you'll see that very quickly we're filling up on dust. If we connect this to our refined storage system with a controller and an external storage, our refined storage system will have access to all of this dust, and we'll be able to send it to the combiner along with the stone to begin making blank ore. So chat's making a good point here, in that we could just bring the combiners into this compact machine, which I think is probably a good idea. Already we have hit the maximum number of or the maximum amount, I should say, of stone that we can put into this drawer on the right here. I will make some emerald upgrades to increase the storage. Obviously, ideally, very soon we're going to start using all this stone, so we shouldn't really need a ton of storage, but just to keep us going in the short term, let's go ahead and add a couple of emerald upgrades to both of these. So let's see, if we go and grab our initial combiner, I do think, given how fast we're producing both dust and stone there, that this one combiner is not going to be anywhere near fast enough, so I think we are going to have to set up multiple combiners in order to make this work. But for now, if we go and if we put a combiner, let's say right here for now, of course we'll set the left side to input, we'll set, oh no, we can't do that I don't think, because these can't auto pull, so we're going to have to at the very least put this up here, and then do something maybe like this and like this, with the left side of this being set to red, which it is, and then the right side being set to yellow, like so, and we can maybe have the front be the output. We could always extract from the front of this. Then we'll do the same thing here. We'll set this to extract, and then if we quickly grab a flux point and make sure that this has power, we should start producing quite a large quantity of blank ore, which is kind of perfect. So now, I think what we need to do is we need to make more of these, like at least one more, but potentially 2, 3, 4, 5 more of these. I really want to be producing blank ore at a rate that we're producing this stone and dust right now. All right, so not too long later, and we taught our system how to make these ultimate combining factories, and we've also moved them forward by one so we can power them at the back here, which we're using this regular advanced universal cable here, which can move up to 51,000 redstone flux per tick, which should be fine. Each one of these is using about 2,000, so that's 12,000 in total, which is less than 50,000. So now all we need to do is grab a few more of these ultimate logistical transporters and then do something like this. We've also requested 40 energy and 40 speed upgrades, so we should be able to just go ahead and fully upgrade all of the extra machines that we have here to be as fast as possible. Okay, so we did run into a bit of an issue, and that issue is that with the ultimate logistical transporters here, while they are very fast and very good for something like this, they don't have a round-robin option. So the problem we were running into is that the ultimate logistic pipes were filling these like bottom few ultimate factories over and over and over again, but never getting up to these factories because they always fill the nearest inventory first, even if the newest inventory isn't empty. So it's quite possible this had like 40 stone in it, this one had 0 stone in it, and it would refill this one before sending any up to the top one, which is a problem because that means that we often end up in a situation where it's just the bottom few that are getting stone and not the top ones either. So what I want to try here is I want to try using item pipes from the pipes mod here. I think if we take these and if we use them in combination with some of the ultimate pipe upgrades, we might be able to set this to round robin. I think there's an option for it. Let me quickly grab my pipe wrench. Let's set that to extract, and then let's go ahead and add in the ultimate pipe upgrade. And then now this option here, this distribution, right now it's set to nearest first, which is what the ultimate transporters were set to. We want to make sure this is set to round robin. That way it's going to send items to here, then 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 to here, and then back to the beginning again. And it'll do that over and over again, which should hopefully keep all of these stocked with stone all of the time. So this should now be working. I've placed down these ultimate logistical transporters on the front, and hopefully we can use these here to extract all of the blank ore. So if we go ahead and once again, I think, get some more emerald upgrades, because we're going to start getting quite a bit of emerald ore quite quickly. Thankfully, the emerald upgrades are very quick to be crafted, and for now we'll just fill this up entirely. And then at that point, all we should need to do is once again set all of these to extract, and we should very quickly start pulling out large amounts of blank ore. That does appear to be working, and it also looks like the pipes are doing a fantastic job at keeping everything like fully stacked up. So the pipe here with the ultimate pipe upgrade is moving more than enough stone and dust to keep this fully stocked up all the time. The question now is, are we actually still gaining dust? And it looks like we're actually losing dust, which is a good sign, I think. Like, it means we're using it just ever so slightly faster than it's being produced. We could always add a few more igneous extruders in the middle here to try and make it a bit faster, but this is working by the looks of it. And you'll see at the top here that we are producing a staggering amount of blank ore here. We're already at close to 6,000. And now is where things get even worse for the poor server that we're playing on here, because now we have to put down multiple of the destructors and constructors, all with 4-speed upgrades. I'll request a stack of these real quick here to begin rapidly breaking and replacing all of that ore. And then from there, we also then need to start setting up all of the factories to actually process that. So let's go ahead and grab both of these. And then let's see about setting this up in here. But we are going to have to give our refined storage system access to this at the top. So I'm thinking what I probably want to do actually is I probably want to move this network receiver up to like here. And then we can quickly go and grab the network card, which is currently in this guy. And if we right-click that onto the new receiver, like so. And then once we have that connected up again, we can get another external storage. Put that down right about here. And now our system should have access to all of that blank ore, which is closing in on 10,000. Beautiful. So now, what I think we'll probably do is we'll probably have the blank ore placed down like here. And I'm thinking on either side of this setup, we can have our constructors and our destructors. So we'll have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here and 5 here. And then if that's fast enough, we can leave it there. If it's not fast enough, we can look at adding more. But real quick, let's go back. Let's teach our system how to make destructors and constructors. And then let's request like 9 more of each of them. So this is a little loud. Thankfully, we do have our muffler. And I'm pretty sure that if I type in like break and maybe place, we enter blissful silence. We're actually amazingly actively producing blank ore. Like, we're still gaining blank ore. So we are going to run into a problem here. Real quick, let's break this. I'm going to turn the system off. The reason I'm going to turn the system off is that we are incredibly quickly going to fill up our refined storage system if we leave that going. So before we turn that back on again, I think we need to actually set up the process by which we're going to actually process all of this stuff. And in fact, one thing that we should do is we should maybe look at actually making our first ultimate singularity, because if we do that, we can then take our first ultimate singularity and we can combine it with the one ultimate ingot that we already have, if we do that, that's going to allow us to make our first creative essence, and we can use that first creative essence to make a creative storage disk from refined storage. Once we have that, at that point, we no longer have to worry about space. We can essentially put that into our disk drive, and instead of having 332,000 items worth of space, we will have infinite amount of space. So I think that's probably well worth doing. We did make all of the quantum compressors in a previous stream, so I think we want to take those, and I think I will put these in here as well. If we're going to put 28 of these down, I think we'll put them down along this back wall here. We are also going to need, I believe it's ultimate catalysts. Let me check that though, because each singularity, yeah, you have to have an ultimate catalyst in the quantum compressor for this to work. It's not used up, so we do just need 28 of these. We'll request those. And then I think what we're probably going to want to do is also get 28 exporters, which our system currently does not know how to make. So let's quickly rectify that situation. And on top of that, we're also going to want to have 28 crafting cards. So we'll request 27 more exporters, start, and we'll request 27, and by 27 I mean 28, crafting upgrades. Chat is right that we do also want to put speed and stack upgrades into these exporters as well to make sure that we're exporting to the quantum compressors as fast as possible. And so we want to make sure we have, I think, 3 speed upgrades in each of our 28 quantum compressors, which means we need 84 speed upgrades there. And then we're missing sugar, of all things, which I think we're actually not actively making. My first question is, can we make sugar with, like, nature essence? I think we can. Yeah, we can teach our system how to make sugar cane using nature essence. And then, of course, it can take that sugar cane and craft it into actual sugar. So let's request 84 of those. Start. And our system doesn't know how to make sugar. Hold on, let's quickly teach it how to make sugar itself. I thought that was already, you know, self-explanatory, but apparently not the case. Let's try that for the third time here. We want 84. Start. And then we want 28 stack upgrades, which our system currently does not know how to make. So let's quickly go ahead and teach it that as well. In curd, that's a lot more sugar as well. We already have one, so we'll request 27 more stack upgrades, start. So we've got our 28 quantum compressors down. We then need to make sure we have an ultimate catalyst in each one and an exporter on top of each one as well. I think we'll just run cable across the top of the room here from this receiver all the way over to these exporters, and then we can, of course, run cable down the side to connect up all of the side ones as well. So we have all of these down. We moved them off the wall so we could once again put power on the back. I taught my system how to craft these ultimate universal cable. I'm not quite sure how much power these quantum compressors use, but I can't imagine it's more than 3.27 million FE per tick, even all of them combined. I don't actually think they use that much power, so this should be okay. We've got our flux point at the top here, providing power to all of these. We've got all of these exporters down. They're all ready to go. So now what we need to do, chat, is we need to head back and we need to teach our system how to craft every single one of the essences over here into its final destination item, and then export that final item into each quantum compressor. So, for example, in here, we need to teach our system how to craft the yellorium into uranium. Thankfully, it already knows how to do that, but we also need to teach it how to do the same thing with steel, silver, redstone, all of the singularities, right? We need to teach it how to craft the essence into the ingot or item, and then we can finally start putting them in the exporters and start exporting those items to make the singularities. The hard one that we're going to run into a problem with is, I think, the machine frame singularity, that being the mechanical singularity. This is going to be a problem for us. So we need to make 5,000 machine frames. We've got 105, so we need 4,900 more. Bizarrely, we actually have all of the resources to make that work. However, I think if we're going to make that happen in any reasonable time frame, we're probably going to have to craft a lot more multi-servo presses and fully upgrade them and have them all running like simultaneously to make that happen. So multi-servo press, let's teach our system how to make those. Okay, so I made 5 more multi-servo presses here. The idea being that if we quickly bookmark the recipe for this machine frame, because we need to make 160,000 of these, only 5,000 for today, but 160,000 in the long run. This requires iron plates, electrum plates, and bronze gears. So I think what we'll do is we'll have iron plates, electrum plates, bronze gears. Now, if we're going to want to teach our system how to do this, we're going to need crafters, of course. Now, I think we'll go with netherite crafters, and we'll make 3 of them. The reason we're going to make 3 of them is that I don't think that refined storage is very good at distributing crafts amongst multiple crafters. So if we had, for example, 5 crafters on this back wall here, one on top of each multi-server press, and then I requested, 20,000 iron plates, I don't know if the refined storage system is smart enough to divide that task amongst all of the available multi-server presses. And so I think what we want to do instead is we want to add a buffer chest in the middle. So if we put a chest down, let's say here, and we put the crafter directly on top of that chest, and of course make sure it's pointing down, what we can then do is, much like we did over on the back wall there, is we can take our item pipe, make sure all of these are set to ideally face the front like that, but also to insert from the top so they can receive items. And then if we set the pipe here to extract and we add in one of those ultimate pipe upgrades and set it to round robin, that will then distribute all of the iron that gets sent to this chest amongst all of the multi-server presses. All of these are going to be able to make plates, and then from there we can just put an importer on each of those multi-server presses to pull all of the final product iron plates background into the system for final crafting. Chat is reminding me that we do have access to the red print, this guy right here. This is a pretty nifty little item from Thermal Expansion. Basically, if we quickly get rid of this cobblestone, which I just placed down to allow us to place these multi-server presses up by 1. But essentially, in here, we're going to want to have our multi-server presses to insert from the top and output to the bottom. What you can do with the red print is you can right-click on a machine to copy its configuration. And then over here, this one right now is unconfigured. If we right-click again, that's going to now take the copied configuration and paste it to every other machine that we right-click on. And that saves us having to go through and manually open up, and configure it every single time. All right, so not too long later, we now have all of everything down, I think. We've got our flux points down, we've got universal cable down, so all of these are receiving power. We've got all of the pipes down. All of the pipes have been upgraded with an ultimate pipe upgrade that is set to round robin. We've moved all of the patterns, so we took this pattern out of the multi-server press from the main room. We've done the same with the electrum pattern and with the bronze pattern. We moved all of that into here, so this is now all set up and ready to go. We've put importers down on the bottom of all of these. One thing I have not done is filled these importers with speed upgrades. So that is something we are going to have to do, I think, to make sure, although to be fair, they probably don't need 4 speed upgrades. I don't think the multi-servo presses are that fast to where a full set of 4 is required. But as soon as all of these are in, I think we should be pretty much good to go on requesting our first 5,000 machines. Obviously, going forward, we're going to have to make like 32 more lots of 5,000, so like 155,000 more machine frames. And for that, we'll use the exporter and the crafting card. But for the first ones, I think just requesting it and then sending them via an exporter without the crafting upgrade is going to make the most sense. And then once we've got this going, we can then start looking at putting all of the things that need to be exported into here, teaching our system how to make all of the essences into all the items required. And then once we've started making all of those singularities, then we can start looking at making smelting factories and enriching factories so that we can once again start breaking all of this blank ore. Right now we're almost at 100,000 of it. We can start processing that again, exporting it, turning it into resources, and then those will also get exported as well. So we've still got quite a bit of work to go here, chat, but we are slowly but surely getting close to completing that work. All right, so I think, chat, that we are finally ready to give this a go. I think everything's set up. We put the gear working dies in the front slots here. We put in all the speed upgrades. The one thing we've not done, actually, we've not put in the flux linkage amplifiers. That is something that we are going to have to do here. But once we do that, and also, of course, the integral components as well, we are missing 5 of those. Let's quickly request 5 more of those. But once we get all of those in, I think we're pretty much good to go. One thing we are going to have to go and do is teach our system how to use the iron essence and the electrum essence, and the bronze essence as well, actually, to make sure that our system doesn't waste time trying to make those ingots in the induction smelter, because that would take an incredibly long amount of time. I think instead, if we just use the essence that we already have for bronze, iron, and electrum, we should be able to make things significantly faster. It's also quite possible that we might look at adding speed upgrades to our crafters. Like, we can do this to make this faster. This netherite crafter is already well, it starts out by being 125 times faster. You can see in the top left there. Once you add the speed upgrades, it does go to 225 times faster. If this is still not fast enough, like we do need, 20,000 iron ingots to be crafted, what we could do is we could, for example, move Electrum down to here and then put speed upgrades in this one as well to kind of even out the load. Now's the moment of truth. We need 5,000, and I'm going to request the whole 5,000 here, machine frames. It knows how to do it. It no longer thinks that it needs to make bronze because it just, well, it does make bronze, but not with copper and tin like it was going to do before. I think we're good to go. I think we hit start, and I think, hopefully, yeah, these start going. So it's going to take a bit of time. You'll see that once again, these pipes are doing a fantastic job at keeping the machines like constantly full, which is fantastic. I have no idea how long it's going to take. I'm hoping it takes like less than 20 minutes to happen, but it is going to take a little while. I think that's fine. While we wait for that to happen, let us begin the process of, first of all, putting in all of these catalysts, which need to go in the left slot. And then once we've done that, we also need to begin teaching our system how to make all of the other essences into resources. Okay, so not too long later, and we are about halfway there. We've got 2,900 machine frames to go. And what I've done is over in here, I've just begun putting all of the upgrades in each of these exporters. So we've got the crafting upgrade, the stack upgrade, and 2 speed upgrades. Of course, eventually we're going to go through, we're going to put uranium ingots in here to make uranium singularities, and then silver, tin, lead, redstone, diamond, etc. for all of the singularities that we need. While we wait, though, for all of those machine frames to craft, let's pivot back to this resource generation system, because right now we're still just backing up on blank ore. So if we head back into the overworld here, what we're going to want to do, I think, is teach our system how to make the smelting factory, the highest tier, ideally. That is going to involve us teaching it how to make all of the previous tiers, but at that point we can just request that our system make, say, 5 ultimate smelting factories, and at that point we can then just begin sending all of the ores that produce ingots to that ultimate smelting factory. We also want to do the exact same thing with the enrichment factory if we teach our system how to make the enrichment chamber, which it might already know, actually. I seem to remember teaching it this in the past, but just in case we haven't, we'll go ahead and encode the recipe for all of those tiers. We can then throw all of those in over here, because this one is full. Another thing we did while we were waiting is we taught our system how to craft all of the essences being grown in our giant essence farm up there into their respective resources. So you'll see here that we've got recipes for iron, recipes for copper, diamond, silver, lapis, even stone, wood, melons, platinum. Everything is being taught now, so our system should be able to make all of those as and when it needs to. And as for right now, we should be able to request a few ultimate smelting factories and ultimate enriching factories. I'll start with 3 of each. We do have space, and also apparently our system does not know how to make redstone furnaces. That is fine. We do have space for like 5 of each, and of course, if we really wanted to, we could even go further and do more than that. But we'll start with 3, and we'll see if that's enough. If it's not enough to process all of the stuff coming from the blank ore fast enough, we can always look at putting more down. But I don't want to go too hard too fast. So we've got all of these machines down. We've got our ultimate smelting factories on the left with our ultimate enriching factories on the right. One thing I have not done is requested the next batch of speed and energy upgrades. So we'll do that real quick here. But now, essentially what we're going to have to do is, using these exporters, tell the refined storage system what to export to each of these smelting factories. So it turns out that, much like earlier in the series, you can't actually put most ores directly into an ultimate smelting factory, much like you can't put ores directly into a regular furnace. So instead, what we are going to have to do here is we are going to have to process all of our ingot ores first through an enrichment chamber to turn it into dust, and then into the energized smelter. Right now, you'll see, for example, we have iron ore, mercury iron ore, and tin ore all set to export to this ultimate smelting factory, but it's not being exported because you can't actually put any of this stuff in. Instead, it has to first go through one of these ultimate enriching factories to be turned into the dust form, and then at that point, you can then run it through the ultimate smelting factory, which is not a huge deal. We did teach our system how to craft the ultimate enriching factories, and so this should just be as simple as requesting 3 more of those and putting them atop these ultimate smelting factories. Over here, we have set up all of the other ores that we're getting, so those should all already be processed. Again, we're not really producing those in massive quantities just yet because our blank ore system is currently not online, but hopefully momentarily we'll be able to turn this back on and we'll be processing all of the ores as they come in. Okay, and not too long later, we now have all of our machines fully upgraded. They all have 8 speed and 8 energy upgrades. And we've also added 4 speed upgrades to every single one of the exporters. And of course, we've specified in each exporter what we want to be exported. So hopefully all of the ores that we need exporting should now be being exported. We've also put speed upgrades in the importers as well. And we've made sure to not export all of the ores because things like cobalt, things like sulfur, things like moon cheese are not ores that we're actively going to be using in the creation of the ultimate singularity. And so now the question is, if I reconnect this system up here, if I do this and I do this, that's going to once again start to break all of the blank ore. And right now we have 458,000 blank ore in this drawer here, as well as over 1 million dust in this drawer and 393,000 stone in this drawer here. The system is now working. That's an awful lot of particle effects, but I think things should be good. And the question really is whether or not our system here is able to keep up with the rate at which things are coming in. And it's looking like maybe it won't be able to on the iron dust front. Right now, we don't have auto sort turned on for any of these. For this smelting factory, we can turn auto sort on because the only thing that this smelting factory will ever receive is iron dust. So we can turn auto sort on for that, no problem. With the other machines, we don't currently have auto sort on, but it's looking like that's not going to, like, we can do it and it's not going to be a problem. My worry was that if we were getting too much of any one ore, for example, if we got a ton of tin, then we could end up in a situation where tin was in every single slot. And when that happens, you could very quickly end up in a situation where nothing else but tin can get processed by one machine. It doesn't look though like that's going to be a problem. So I think turning auto sort on here is really only going to have positive effects for us because it looks like we're not bringing in or even processing the ores that fast. Now, whether or not we do still fill up our refined storage system, because again, there are ores that we're not processing, is yet to be seen, but of course we can try and get ahead of that by trying to make that infinite creative storage disk. To do that, we're going to have to make at least one of each of the singularities required to make the ultimate singularity. So if we head back through to the overworld, I'm fairly certain that our craft for 5,000 machine frames is done. It is indeed. We now have 5,062 machine frames ready to go. And so what we should be able to do here, I think, is essentially go through each of these quantum compressors, and inside of the adjacent exporter, we should be able to specify one of each item. In this case, of course, the first one is uranium, and we should just be able to start exporting all of the required items to these quantum compressors and slowly but surely begin to actually make one of each, if not multiple of each, singularity. Of course, right now for today's stream, I just want to make one of each so I can make one creative essence to get that creative storage disk. But between streams, I want to leave this system running so that hopefully when we come back, we have enough singularities to make enough ultimate singularities to craft every single one of the creative items in the chapter challenge for chapter 14. Okay, so I set up all but 2 of these quantum compressors, and in the time it's taken me to do that, we actually already have one of most of the singularities. A few of these are not quite through yet. The last 2 that I've not done are the mob singularity and the seed singularity. So the seed singularity should be fairly easy for us to work with. As we mentioned before, we're going to use melons. We did teach our system how to make melons using nature essence, and all we need to do now is teach our system how to break those melons down. I think I've also taught it how to turn melon slices into melon seeds because that is just a regular old craft. But in terms of getting melons into melon slices, for that we're going to use a multi-servo press with a unpacking die. Alright, so once again, as it turns out, I am a fool and Twitch chat is my savior. It turns out that you can just place the melons into compacting drawers and that will turn them that will allow the system to access them in melon slice form. So I think what we'll do is we'll request a crafting upgrade, of which we already have 64, which is perfect. And then we can essentially just export melons into the compacting drawer. And I'm not quite sure I want to do this. It's going to be super janky, but I might just put it like here and just have like a random melon drawer in the middle of nowhere. But if we do this, and if we tell our system to export the melons that we do have here, and we give it a crafting card and maybe some speed upgrades, that should hopefully start filling this drawer up very quickly with melons. We could even put a stack upgrade in there as well if we wanted to really speed things up. We would also love to have an external storage there as well, so we can actually access all of those melon slices, and at that point our system should just be able to craft the melon slices into melon seeds as and when it needs them, and then use those for the singularities. So I think now that that's connected up, it should just be a case of taking melon seeds and telling our system to export those over here, and that should start making the seed singularities. Now, the mob singularity, the last one we've not done, is going to be somewhat problematic because we need 160,000 of a given mob drop. For today, for getting one of these mob singularities, it shouldn't be a problem because we do have a few thousand of a few different mob drops. For example, rotten flesh here, we can export all 2,000 of that. Bones, we can take, the 5,000 of those that we have. But we currently don't have any system in place to make 160,000 of any given mob drop. And so even though we do have ender pearl seeds, I believe, in our other compact machine, this one over here, right now, they're not going anywhere near the speed required to get 160,000 of them. And so I think what we're probably going to want to do is maybe take this Enderman seed. And then, given that it's already quite far behind all of the other mystical agriculture essences, I think we probably want to give it the prime spot over here, that being this one that Yellorium currently has, the one that has all of the speed upgrades. So if we just swap out the Yellorium seeds here for Enderman seeds, and there we go. So that should hopefully over time begin to generate more Enderman seeds, of course, as the system does, and therefore more Enderman essence, and over time we should end up with a lot more of that. Again, hopefully more of this is made than anything else because it has the most speed upgrades, and hopefully we can swap out the rotten flesh and the bones that we're currently using for ender pearls, and hopefully get that mob singularity that way. For now, though, I think that we are... Wait, can you use bones for the mob singularity? Is that my problem? So it turns out you can't use multiple different mob drops in the creation of the mob singularity. Looking at the available items that you can use and what we have left, we actually don't have 5,000 of any of these just yet. Hopefully going forward, we're going to get ender pearls from our ender pearl seeds, but they're going to take a while to come through. For now, I think the thing that we're closest on is maybe gunpowder. We do have more bones than gunpowder, but we don't have an easy way of getting the last 300 bones, whereas gunpowder, we've got almost 4,000 of it, and we should be able to teach our system how to make the final 1,200 gunpowder required here. So if we go ahead and teach it this recipe here with charcoal, niter, and sulfur, again, we do want to make sure that we use the niter we have, as well as the sulfur that we have, and in fact, we have both kinds of sulfur here. We have the sulfur dust and the sulfur crystal, so we can just go ahead and encode that. The final thing we need to teach it is charcoal, which we can craft up using wood essence and coal essence, which hopefully we've got enough of to get us through here. So if we drop both of those in, and then quickly head back through to here and put gunpowder into the mob quantum compressor. That should hopefully get us to the 5,000 we need to make the one singularity, because of all the other machines here, we're actually good. We have at least one, I think, of almost every other singularity. The one we don't have right here is the dust singularity. The reason for that is that right now this compacting drawer is not connected up with an external storage. Thankfully, that is very easily fixed. As soon as we do that, our system will have access to an extra like 4 million, 4.2 million dust, and should therefore be able to very easily produce all of the dust singularities that we're ever going to need. I guess for now, we'll just go ahead and do something like this, and then connect that up to there. That should, again, continue exporting dust. There we go, and again, any second now that should be done. Some of these are actually quite far through. You'll see we have 9 uranium, we've got 13 for tin. We need, again, 34 in total, so most of this will continue running between streams with our new blank ore resource production and also our mystical agriculture resource production, and hopefully when we come back for the next stream we will have at least 34 of each of these singularities, enough to make every single one of the ultimate singularities required to make all of the creative items. But before we do that, we should maybe make sure that we also have 34 ultimate ingots. Right now we have 3 ultimate ingots. If I were to request 31 more of those, what are we missing? We're missing diamond essence, which is a problem, and we're also missing ender stars as well. So temporarily, diamond is like down here. Here, I'm going to turn off the exporting of diamonds temporarily, because I think what we would like to do, also we're not processing our diamond ore fast enough. And the reason for that would be that we're not importing any of this. Oh, we didn't put speed upgrades into our importers. Okay, that would definitely cause that problem. Let's also request 3 stack upgrades here as well to make sure we can pull out as fast as possible from these. There we go. Okay, now we're pulling that out faster. Again, hopefully we can burn through the ores faster than we're producing them. And that should hopefully get rid of the need for so much diamond ore there. Let me try that again real quick. If I wanted 31 more of those. Yeah, we're just missing the 8 ender stars. So for the ender stars, what is it that we need again? Ender star. We need nether stars and eyes of ender. Did I not teach my system how to make those over here? No, I didn't. Okay, that is fine. It should be as simple as encoding this pattern, like so, and then dropping that in on top of our ender crafter, like that. And then once again, if we request 31 more ultimate ingots, start and start, in theory, those should just get made. Now, the reason I want to do that now, as opposed to in the next episode, is that it's quite possible if we come back to the next episode, all of our resources have been used upon making as many singularities as we can, that we actually don't have enough resources to make the ultimate ingots. So hopefully we can get those done before that happens. For now, though, back over in here, how are we doing on the mob singularity? We have 2 of them, perfect. We actually had over the ability to make over 10,000 gunpowder, which is incredible. For now, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because we, like I said, we're going to want to pivot over to using ender pearls in the future. But for now, chat, I'm pretty sure that if we, first of all, clear out our inventory a little bit, and if we begin taking out all of the singularities that we currently have access to, we should be able to make our first ultimate singularity, and then by extension, we should also be able to make our first piece of creative essence, which is then going to allow us to make our first creative item, which I still think should be the creative storage for refined storage, thus meaning that going forward, we don't have to worry at all about filling up our disk drives because we will have a effectively infinite amount of space to hold stuff. Okay, so over in here, if we use our second page, I think we should just be able to shift click this in. And there we go. Chat, we have very almost done it. Look at that. It's got pulled back into the system, but we have made our first ultimate singularity. There it is. Our ultimate ingots are still being made. We can take one of those as well, though. And if we combine the ultimate singularity with the ultimate ingot in a regular old induction smelter, boom and boom, that is going to combine together potentially extraordinarily slowly. Is this correct? I'm pretty sure this is correct. I think it's just really, like you can see the fires on it, it's just really, really, really slow, despite the fact that this is fully upgraded. But eventually, once this is done, it will get us our first creative essence. I guess while we wait for that to come about, let's have a look. If we want to make that creative disk, we need 4 16384K storage parts and then 4 storage housing. So let's teach our system how to make that. Then let's also teach our system how to make every part on the way to that. And I think what I'll do for now as well, actually, is I'll make a chest to store all of these singularities in because we are going to need these momentarily. I think I'll also make it an iron chest because I'm fairly certain we have more than we can actually fit into a regular chest. So for now, we'll just store these over here. And then let's get to teaching our system how to make every single part here on the way down, because there are quite a few of them. I'm fairly certain our system already knows how to make up to 64K, but past that, when we start getting to these 256K parts, it doesn't quite know. But then again, I think now that might be everything. Let's have a look. If I want to request 4 384K parts, can I do that? No, we're missing 151 slime balls, we're missing 24,000 sand, and we're missing 3,000 string. So after talking with the Twitch chat for a minute here, there are a few things we can do to rectify this. First things first, we do have the creative essence now, which is beautiful. It did get done eventually. For sand, there is a fairly simple solution, and that is to teach our system to use fire essence and dirt essence. Right now we have 65,000, I think, of each of those, and so just dropping that in over there should solve the sand problem. Let me check that though. I'm fairly certain that now if we request it, yeah, it's just string and slime that we're missing. Slime we can make using mushrooms and witch water, and over here we do have witch water being made, so all we have to do is take our slime, take our mushroom, right-click it on the witch water, that creates a block of slime, we can craft those down. That's going to take a couple of cycles to get up to the 215 slime that we're missing, but it shouldn't take too long. And then finally, the hardest part is the string. We need quite a bit of string. However, chat has come through with a very clever idea that takes us all the way back to the beginning of the pack, and that is Silkworms. What we can do here is if we grab maybe some jungle saplings, for example, because these are very large, and we also potentially grab some dirt here, what we should be able to do is grow some trees, use the silkworms to infect those leaves, and then if we use a crook, much like we did right at the start of the pack, and in fact we could even go for a compressed crook if we were feeling extra fancy, and then we can use that, of course, to break the infested leaves and get ourselves string. Alright, chat, we have done it. That should be all of the slime we need, so now 16,384k. If I go ahead and request 4 of these, I believe we are good to go. We are. Begin. So what we ended up doing there is actually heading through to the Twilight Forest at the recommendation of the Twitch chat, because of course the Twilight Forest is already full of trees. We then used our silkworms in the Twilight Forest to get a ton of string using this diamond crook. We did also run the diamond crook through this enchantment factory here to make sure that it had unbreaking, efficiency, and mending as well, which is nice to have. And so now we should have everything it takes and should slowly but surely begin to craft up those 16,384k drives. Alright, so that took way longer than I thought it was going to take, but we do now have the 4 16,384k storage pots. The reason it took so long is that in order to make 4 of these, we had to smelt 26,000 glass as well as 9,000 tier 1 parts, which in turn required 12,000 basic processes, 4,000 improved processes, and almost 2,000 advanced processes as well. All of that stuff has to be smelted, and so what I've actually gone ahead and done is replaced the Supremium Furnace here with the Ultimate Smelting Factory. While the Supremium Furnace is very fast, I do think that a fully upgraded Ultimate Smelting Factory is faster just because it can do so many items at a time, and again, especially when it's fully upgraded with speed and energy upgrades, it does that pretty quickly. For example, if I go ahead and request, let's say 256 glass, start, we'll see that that does actually go through quite quickly in the Ultimate Smelting Factory. I think this is new. I'm fairly certain in older versions of the pack, you couldn't smelt sand inside of a smelting factory or a regular furnace. It had to be done in the redstone furnace, which is why we had our sand pattern in here. Basically, all I've done is just move that over into the Ultimate Smelting Factory crafter. But either way, we do now have the 4 16,384k storage drives, and so what we can finally go ahead and do is craft up this creative storage disk. Boom and boom. And so now all we need to do is place that in here. Now, our disk drive is currently full. We don't have any spare slots to put in the creative storage disk. We can, of course, take one of these out, but that does mean that we would have 4,000 items that are currently unavailable. Thankfully, you can get what is known as a disk manipulator. This guy right here, I made this a little while back. It's not too difficult. Standard refined storage stuff. It's a machine casing, 4 quartz enriched iron, 2 storage housing, and then the construction and destruction core. And basically what this allows you to do is move items from a disk into your refined storage system. And so if you place a disk into the in slot, it will begin slowly but surely pulling all of the items off of that disk and inserting them into the current disks that you have in the system. And so slowly but surely, all of the 4,000 items in here will be moved into either one of our pre-existing disks or the new creative storage disk. Right now it is painfully slow. However, thankfully, as per usual, we can grab speed and stack upgrades and make this ever so slightly faster. It is still not particularly fast, even with all of the speed upgrades in. Thankfully, this is a very small disk, and so not too long later, we have an empty 4K storage disk, which for now we can go ahead and throw back into our system with the old disk manipulator here. And so now, finally, we have infinite storage. So what we should be able to do is, if we grab some network cable, we can head on back through into our compact machine here. We can reconnect up these constructors and destructors, and we should start to hopefully now back up on all of the resources that are being generated by this blank ore. I did have to temporarily disconnect this line here because we were going to run into a situation where, for example, all of our iron was going to get used up making iron singularities, when for the time being, we actually did need some iron in order to make those 16,384k drives. Now that we've made those, we can go ahead and put this back like so. And so basically now, the plan between streams is to leave this running. I'm hoping that a combination of this blank ore setup along with our pre-existing mystical agriculture setup will allow us to generate enough singularities, hopefully at least 34 of each singularity between streams, so that when we come back for the next stream, we can hopefully make 33 more of these ultimate singularities, and then combine those with 33 ultimate ingots to make 33 creative essence, and then we can use that creative essence to craft all of the creative items in the Chapter 14 Chapter Challenge questline, at which point we will get the trophy for completing the pack. We can wrap things up and we can move on to a new mod pack. But for now, that is where we're going to go ahead and ramp things up for today.